Hello, and welcome to the long anticipated episode 18 of Neat Video Game Pickups. We have over 50 video games to cover today. I will never finish my backlog. So let's jump right into a bunch of Switch games, and then we'll switch up the consoles, but in no particular order. We got Pikmin 1 and 2. So part 3 was released on the Switch prior. It was ported from the Wii U, and these are all fantastic real-time strategy games with a Nintendo take on them. You know, this franchise has been around for a couple decades now, and it has its fans. And I think the franchise has had a nice little revival on the Switch, given that Part 4 came out on that console. But this is just a re-release of Part 1 and 2, upscaled and better graphics and all that sort of thing. So here it is, Pikmin 1 and 2. Up next, Baten Kaitos 1 and 2, the HD remaster. Is that how you pronounce it? Is it Baten Kaitos? So these games were originally released on the Nintendo GameCube as Baten Kaitos or Baten Kaitos Origins. This dual pack includes the both of them for the Nintendo Switch, obviously, and these are pretty sought-after games. They're really hard to come across. I never bit the bullet on any one of these GameCube games, or never even really seen them out in the wild, but here you have both, and these are like JRPG style games with card-based mechanics, so the combat system has to do with whatever you might have in your hand, card-wise. So I think that's a pretty interesting spin on the RPG formula, and nothing but good things on the series. So I'm excited to maybe someday experience these games. They look really cool, and I'm glad that they released the both of them here on the Switch. KO the Kangaroo, or is it Cow the Kangaroo? Just a 3D platforming collectathon mascot style game. It piqued my interest. I have a soft spot for those collectathon style games like Banjo-Kazooie and Yooka-Laylee, even though I've had limited experience with those two titles I just mentioned now. I know that the genre is very appealing to me because I grew up with Super Mario Sunshine and that sort of thing. Right, so you get the deal. This looks pretty interesting, and I'll check it out sometime. Pay attention to the titles for these next few games. We got Getsu Fumaden, Undying Moon by Konami, and published by Limited Run. This game has a very interesting aesthetic to it, kind of like a Japanese watercolor art. Let's see if I can try and display some of that. Very kind of like Japanese folklore setting, and I was surprised to find out that the game is actually a roguelite, randomly generated levels, and you just kind of keep improving upon your runs by unlocking upgrades and that sort of thing, but you die and you have to start on another run all over again. That sort of deal here in Getsu Fumaden, The Undying Moon. Vengeful Guardian, Moonrider. No connection between this game and the last. But this one I've checked out, I wouldn't say extensively, but for a good chunk of time, and it is really, really awesome. Side-scrolling, retro style, 32-bit, is it? 16-bit? Pixelated graphics like that. Very, very nice graphics. This game reminds me a lot of Super Nintendo games, right? And the concepts are just really, really awesome. You're like this cyborg samurai that's rebelling against, evil corporations sort of deal, and killing just droves of other androids and kind of liberating the Earth, that sort of thing here. But really check this game out if you see it out in the wild. I know it's a think it was like a limited run thing, and it took a million years to come out. But I'm glad to finally own it, and I've been having some pretty good fun with this. It's a very faithful ode to a Super Nintendo action game. Really, really awesome with a cool soundtrack and that sort of thing. So I'm happy to have this one. I'll be streaming this one for sure. Moonscars, published by the Humble Bundle, Humble Games, right? A game that originated on the PC at first, and this is like a very dark, think Salt and Sanctuary, Souls-like 2D side-scrolling game. Has some soul mechanics in that you gain experience, and if you die, you gotta recover your drop, and a lot of timing-based enemies and parrying, dodging, that sort of thing. But really cool here, it came with a manual and a big old poster. There you have it. It's kind of like a landscape waterfall, and you have your main heroine protagonist on her trusty steed. Cool looking game. Looking forward to trying this one out. I've heard it's pretty fantastic. Had some game-breaking bugs and glitches that I hope have been sorted out since this game released, but it looked really cool. Another Moon game, and this one's just straight up called Moon. Fake to real. I'm not sure if that's part of the subtitle, but wow, this game looks very, very peculiar. See if we can zoom in on this. It's got those pre-rendered environments, and character sprites are more retro looking. Think maybe Final Fantasy VII style aesthetic in the overworld. And this game says, experience the love, a boy's journey to find love and the moon's lost light. There is no combat in this game. It's, I don't know, very weird. You kind of like the gameplay loop is maybe negotiations or something very pacifistic as opposed to killing enemies and that sort of thing. But I've heard this is quite the weird and peculiar game. I'll try it out for sure at some point, and yeah, maybe it sucks. Slaps and Beans Part 2. Bud Spencer and Terrence Hill, Slaps and Beans Part 2. This game is based on some sort of European slapstick comedy show, maybe, or maybe the game is just an offshoot that has made that franchise into a slapstick comedy, but a very different beat 'em up that I actually checked out with one of my buddies, and we had lots of fun playing some co-op. Lots of love got poured into this game. The aesthetic is actually pretty unique, I would say. It almost looks like an MS-DOS graphic style. Yeah, lots of fun. A lot of contextual button prompts when it comes to battling, which I thought was really cool. So you can kind of like get a stick and pole vault with the stick, or spin around and beat up, kind of do like a crowd control dispersing technique when you're doing all these sorts of things. And you can smash enemies into watermelon stands, and you can throw stuff and aim it. It's all pretty robust for a retro style beat 'em up. And part 1, I need to seek out now, because that one released physically, but I think it was a European thing, so it might be a little difficult to come across, but I definitely need to complete the collection here because this one was really awesome. The House of the Dead remake. We kind of have like the standard retail release here, not the cool one that came with like a lenticular slipcover. Published by Microids. This is obviously a remake of the first House of the Dead. on rails arcade shooter, and tried it out, and it's actually really really fun. Um, from what I can tell, you get unlimited continues. Obviously, no need to insert your quarters and spend your entire allowance on level one, but they've revamped the graphics. It looks great. Shooting, I've been using the gyro sensor just to kind of emulate that light gun feel to the game, and it does a really good job at it. Uh, I'm excited to dive into this one maybe for Halloween on the spooky streams, but really really cool stuff here. Still got a lot of games to go through here. God Wars: The Complete Legend by Nice America. So, uh, cousin DJ put me onto this game for several reasons. One of which it's quite collectible, I think, because this game was pulled from the Nintendo Digital Shop. Not sure if it's been reintegrated as of the filming of this video, but point being is the only way to play this game is by either already having it downloaded or, you know, the physical edition here. And this is a really, really cool turn based, grid based strategy game. And I'm a big fan of that genre. So, tried it out briefly, and I can safely say that this could be a very, very fun game. Got to make the time to continue where I left off after the first two or three missions, but really cool from what I can tell. It looks awesome. Warhammer 40k bolt gun. Uh, Currently playing this game and streaming it. It's awesome. This is a retro style boomer shooter with really cool retro style graphics. Check those out. They're like very pixelated, and you can actually tune the degree of pixelation in the game, so you can actually make it look like a, I don't know, like a calculator graphics almost. Or, you know, I opt not to make it look like that. But uh, not only does it look awesome, it plays awesome too. You feel super powerful with your bolt gun, the titular bolt gun that can turn into a shotgun, grenade launcher, or just shoot its normal munitions. And it's really, really sweet retro style game. You just kill off hordes of enemies. There's blood spewing everywhere. You're throwing grenades. Sometimes the action gets pretty frantic, and you got to clear out rooms and that sort of thing. But I've been having a lot of fun with this game as sort of a replacement for my beloved Dusk, which set a very high bar. But Warhammer has been setting a pretty decent tone, I would say. Maybe not as cool as Dusk, in my opinion, but still maybe just a notch or two underneath that. And I've been enjoying this thoroughly. I can't wait to continue playing it, to be honest. It was kind of hard to come across for some reason in my area, but I finally found it, and here it is. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Yeah, I've been amassing all these games since about last September. So that's why there's so many of them and so many like releases that aren't so current. This I would consider a relatively new game, but by today's standards, it might be a little bit old. Awesome, awesome 2D Mario platforming. As if Nintendo couldn't. I'm not going to say reinvent the wheel because there's nothing here that's reinventing platforming, right? But the mechanic that they introduced into this game, which is the Wonder Flower, really changes up those levels that would otherwise be considered your run off the mill vanilla experience. Once you consume that power up, it turns the level on its head, sometimes literally, right? A new feature will be introduced into that one level, and maybe you'll never see it again. But that's the sort of variety that you can encounter in this game, and it looks amazing. The controls are excellent, and I was just very pleasantly surprised by how awesome this Mario game is. So Nintendo once again hit it out of the park. I think I've made it up to World 3 or 4. I definitely want to savor the experience as I usually do with these Mario games. So I'll just slowly chip away at it, but you can't go wrong with Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Ooh, this one was a surprise when it was announced at Nintendo Direct. I have so much love for Super Mario RPG, previously known as Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. This game has a lot of nostalgia attached to it for me, as I spectated my brother playing this game back when I was maybe 3 or 4 years old, something like that, and just the visuals back then and the music, all that sort of all the elements tied in so uniquely for this game. This is a very standout Mario title in that, Squaresoft had a lot of involvement with the development and kind of how the way the story played out, because Squaresoft or Square Enix, whatever they were known as back in the day, were the seasoned vets when it came to turn-based JRPGs. And Nintendo wanted to have their own title in that uh, genre, and here it is. Uh, this game gave birth to classic characters such as Geno, Mallow, and just really, really awesome here in this remake. Extremely faithful to the original, with now some added new game plus stuff in which you have to face against some of the same bosses, but they're way harder. And spoiler alert, Coolix 3D is kind of where I drew the line for myself here. I had pretty much everything, but in order to beat Coolix 3D, which that guy was the hardest boss in the original game, he comes back for a second time here, and he just can absolutely destroy your team in a couple hits. So you need to have the best equipment that I actually didn't get. You need to get the super jump cape or something. I can't recall right now for Mario, in which in order to attain that cape, you have to do 100 consecutive jumps on any enemy throughout the game. But it has to be 100 in a row, and timing is everything. I just didn't really devote enough hours to perfecting that jump or grinding away at getting that item that really just is essential in that battle against Coolix 3D. So, anyways, I'm kind of rambling on about that, but other than that, just the game looks fantastic. The music is as awesome as ever, and this game came out near my birthday. I played it nonstop for about a week or so, savoring the moment, exploring things, and just relishing in the experience. And it was awesome. It was very awesome. You got to pick this up if you're a fan of the original. Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince. Uh, I am not a ginormous Dragon Quest guy. I'm sure I would be if I had more of those titles under my belt. Current count is 0. But this game is more of a spin off and a kind of a Pokemon style spin off. This isn't the first entry in the Dragon Quest Monsters line, if I'm not mistaken. But sleeper hit for a lot of people. They say that this game is actually really, really awesome. You collect some monsters and you battle the monsters, that sort of gameplay loop, and nothing but good things that I've heard from this game. Unsold. Kind of a random purchase. I was inspired to pick this up just because Red Art Games, they're a really good publisher. I like them. They put out some cool stuff. This is more of a top-down, quick combat style game. It's hard to describe. I haven't really played it, to be honest, but I've looked up some videos, and the people that play it really say that it has a high skill ceiling and that the combat is addicting. Check it out for yourself. I think it's a quick playthrough, not too long, but lots of replay value in that you could choose different routes and stuff. But this seems pretty interesting, pretty neat, so I wanted to add it to my collection. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker on the Switch with some Super Mario Odyssey DLC. This game came into my collection quite blissfully because I purchased it for my mother-in-law for Christmas, and I made the mistake of already having purchased it for her at some point. So I kind of gifted it to myself because she already had this game. I played the crap out of the Wii U version of this game where it originally released years ago, and kind of a story time when it comes to that. I think the Wii U as a whole was the console that got me into game collecting, and it had a lot to do with Captain Toad Treasure Tracker on that system. The game was just such a breath of fresh air when it came to gaming at a time when I was ultra obsessed with the current AAA releases of games such as like Overwatch and just kind of like, I don't know, other very mainline games. I had shunned Nintendo for very many years up until I got my Wii U in my waning college years. And I was at a point where I just didn't like all these kiddie Nintendo games didn't appeal to me because I was a big kid. Give me bugs and guns and blood and gore. But when I got my Wii U and Super Smash, I was like, man, I really missed the Nintendo charm. Let's see what this game is all about. And wow, it was just so much fun collecting all the stuff. And fast forward like 10 years, and here we are. I got it on the Switch. And yeah, lots of fond memories attached to the original. And it's pretty cool that they added some Super Mario Odyssey DLC to this one. So thanks, mother-in-law, for already having this game, because now it's in my collection. Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Some more nostalgia attached to this game. Originally released on the Game Boy Advance, maybe, 15 years ago, if not more. I remember my uncle purchased this game for me on the Game Boy Advance, and the graphics on the handheld were so awesome. They almost looked like pre-rendered sprites, and I was just very impressed by the visuals in the game, and the game itself, very addicting side-scrolling puzzler. And since then, there have been very many releases under the same franchise or this line, right, of Mario versus Donkey Kong. But this is the original one. I wouldn't be surprised to see subsequent entries in this line being released on the Switch, just kind of milking it a little bit. But really, really cool game. Fun puzzles and stuff. You should get it. Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection. Not really too sure why I got this one. I have a soft spot for Jurassic Park video games. This one has a whole bunch of them on it, actually. Let's go through them.
Jurassic Park Portable, Jurassic Park 8-bit, Jurassic Park 16-bit, Jurassic Park Genesis, Jurassic Park Rampage Edition Genesis, Jurassic Park 2 The Chaos Continues, the portable version, and Jurassic Park 2 The Chaos Continues 16-bit.
So they're not really designating the consoles on which they were on, but there's some Super Nintendo stuff, some Game Boy stuff, and Genesis stuff. All smashed together into one really cool package. Check out that box art. Still sealed for the time being, but yeah, bang for your buck. Lots of value in this collection. The granddaddy pickup of all my Switch pickups for this video. This is a grail for me, I would say. We got the boxed set Shantae games on the Switch. Out of focus, I know. We got the original Shantae Risky's Revenge, Director's Cut, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, Shantae Half Genie Hero Ultimate Edition, and Shantae and the Seven Sirens. The day after I got this collection of awesome games, it was announced that a previously unreleased or like half-developed Game Boy Advance, maybe it was slated for the Game Boy Advance, Shantae game is going to get released at some point in 2024. So I no longer have the full collection just because that one's about to come out at some point. But man, This game franchise has so many fans, and the games are actually very hard to come across. At least the original one was the rarest Game Boy Color game to have ever come out because it was towards the end of that handheld's lifetime, so no one really bought it. But they were fantastic games, and if I'm not mistaken, developed by Way Forward. Way Forward knows their stuff when it comes to these just high production value, side scrolling, or like sprite based games, I guess you could call it. But this franchise is Metroidvania like in nature, and it just looks so awesome. It looks so cool. I can't wait to get into the series and see what all the hubbub's about. I've checked out part one briefly. Seems legit, really awesome. I believe my brother has played Half Genie Hero, and he has sung it praises. So yeah, really exciting stuff, and a big grail to cross off my list. I'm really happy to have this one. We got a sole GameCube game, and really a daddy of a pickup. One that I've been looking out for a long time now. Kirby Air Ride. This is the Kirby racing game that everyone loves so much. I've never played it ever in my life. But judging by everyone's sentiment towards our pink blob here, this game is supposed to be lots of fun, and I need to get into some multiplayer action to see what it's all about. But found it and jumped on it. Must have this game. Let me know in the comments how much you love Kirby's Air Ride. Is it really that good? Is it? Let's do some PlayStation 5 games now. Let's start off with Lies of P, a Souls-like game based on Pinocchio lore, which is extremely random and interesting. But once again, people have been loving this Souls-like, and it's set in like a weird folklore Victorian era sort of thing. Just a very, very hard game, as you know, the genre pretty much that's what the genre focuses on, right? Difficulty spikes and precise combat and that sort of thing. This game looks really cool. We got the Day 1 edition with a bonus music tracks included of Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. You get 3 titles in this game: Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear 2, Sons of Liberty, and Metal Gear 3, Snake Eater. An iconic franchise in the stealth action world and gaming in general. Created by Hideo Kojima. I don't know. That's how you pronounce his name, right? We got Snake. Come on. Older consoles are getting older every single year. I kind of want to preserve those and have these gems playable on newer hardware. I believe the Switch edition made you download the games as opposed to this one where it's all baked on the disc. So you know I opted for this one. RoboCop Rogue City. Man, this is a hidden gem. I think it surprised a lot of people. This game is a first-person shooter in which you take control of the titular RoboCop. And if you have a lot of nostalgia towards that early 90s action movie franchise, you can't go wrong in purchasing this game. My brother is a huge RoboCop fan, and he played this game from start to finish, and again, had nothing but good things to say about it. I checked it out briefly, and the graphics are amazing. The combat is really awesome because you're this hulking beast of a unit, which is RoboCop, and you're just flinging stuff at baddies and smashing their skulls with a single punch and just making their brains explode everywhere with your gun. It's just really awesome. I'm glad that a small studio and small publisher, Nacon, never even heard of these guys, made an awesome tribute to an awesome franchise. Very prevalent in pop culture. Just cool. RoboCop Rogue City is an awesome game. Relayer. Red Art Games, actually, as well. A publisher. I am a humongous Super Robot Wars fan, which is grid-based strategy game, right? And this is also grid-based strategy game, but it's not using 2D animated sprites and or like drawings almost like Super Robot Wars is. This uses 3D models, and I've heard it's not as good as Super Robot Wars, but the fact that there's another giant mech strategy game really piqued my interest. And I'll have to check this one out and kind of compare it to Super Robot Wars and see how it stacks there, because I have heard that this game falls short of the mark, and maybe missions are too easy or something. But so is Super Robot Wars. It's just very satisfying to plow through enemies and witness these awesome cinematic attacks. So I need to check out Relayer and see how if it's any good or not. Ziggurat Part 2. So Ziggurat 1 was a game that I had on my wish list for a long time. And I may or may not have confused it with this one. I couldn't really notice the 2 back there. But pleased to say that it's a really cool roguelite first-person shooter with a bit of a fantasy setting. Here, you can be a sorcerer dude or a chick. And the combat is very frantic. Bunch of enemies on screen. And you got to clear out the rooms. Basically, look for a key that opens up the boss room, or a loot key that opens up the treasure room. That sort of thing. And just progress through deeper and deeper levels until you die, basically, and then you start another run. But the gameplay, it's super tight, really really responsive, and it's addictive. I actually checked it out for a quite extended period of time at one point for a couple days. And then got overwhelmed with my backlog and the million other games that are just stacked on my coffee table. Really cool stuff. I like it a lot. I recommend this if you're into first-person roguelites. We got the Crimson Knight edition of Tales of Iron. Look at little rats. Little rats. Cool cardboard slipcover here on this 2D Souls-like game, again, that has to do with rats. And check out the art style. Pretty much the entire game looks like this. It's like hand-drawn watercolor-ish. So that appealed to me. The genre itself appealed to me. And look at the little rat. The little rat on the cover. You take charge of this rat. And the game just looks really neat. So here it is. Ooh, I'm excited to play this game once I can devote about 80 hours of my life to a JRPG. But we got Star Ocean, the Second Story R. Switch version required online download because the whole game cart didn't include it. So I opted for the PS5 version, and I'm sure just because it's the technically superior console, it'll be able to handle stuff a little bit better here. But yeah, I've heard that this remake of Star Ocean is a chef's kiss. The visuals look amazing. They're using that 2.5D HD pixel stuff that Octopath Traveler kind of pioneered, and now Square Enix is using it in other games. So this game looks amazing. The combat is super unique and engrossing. I've seen a few videos on it, and it just looks so good. So good. If I have a next JRPG to indulge in, it might be this one. I know I'm still working on my Rogue Galaxy playthrough on the PS2, and I'm kind of slacking on those long plays. But hey, I've been playing a bunch of other games. And maybe eventually this one will be one of those. But if you're a JRPG fan, I've heard amazing things about Star Ocean, the Second Story R. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth Oh boy, this is a big one as well. A very surprising announcement when they revealed the sequel to Yakuza Like a Dragon. Here we have the second game in that offshoot of an offshoot, I would say, right? The Yakuza games. Uh, the combat in this game is not so much a 3D brawler like other Yakuza games. This is turn based, but some dynamic battle arenas where you kind of walk around and do that sort of stuff. But the first game I put at least like 40 hours into. I still haven't finished it. I need to dedicate more love to Like a Dragon. But here's part two in a different setting. You're in Hawaii, right? So you got the whole tropical and scenic environments going on, and it's just these games are also so funny, and I'm very much looking forward to continuing Ichiban's storyline because he, as a character, is also really awesome. Very likable dude. And here's more awesomeness from Sega. Persona 3 Reload. P3 here by Atlas. So Persona has been re-releasing their entries, and actually Limited Run did a thing where they also released the portable, right? Persona 3 portable edition of this game. So the way it was explained to me was this is the full experience, remastered and that sort of thing. But back then, when the PSP was a thing, I think it was the PSP, pretty sure it was actually. Uh, they released Persona 3 on the PSP, and they condensed the game where it's like I think it's like less dialogue and or the human interactions that you have in this game, which are very core to the gameplay. I think so. It's kind of like a truncated version. Was released on PSP, and then they kind of re-released it as Persona 3 Portable, also on the PS5 and modern day consoles. But I wanted the full experience, the better version. I'm sure there's more differences between the two that warrant separate purchases, but I played it safe since I'm a Persona rookie, a Shin Megami noob, right? But these games are supposed to be really awesome RPGs, so here it is. The last PS5 game is a doozy. Oh man, we got Helldivers 2. I probably don't have enough time to talk about how awesome this game is. I was a massive fan of part one. I always suggested that we play that game with my buddies whenever we're deciding to play a game. I kind of always fell back on Helldivers 1. Uh, so, you know, I'll keep it short here, but they switched the perspective for part two for more of a over the shoulder third person action game as opposed to the isometric view top down ish. Uh, Teamwork is imperative in this game if you want to make it through the harder difficulties. But holy crap, I had one of those moments with this game that I had with other games like Destiny on the PS4. I was like, man, this feels like a PS4 game. Back when Destiny came out, I was like, yeah, this feels like next gen stuff because it looks so awesome. I had the same sort of reaction with this game, with all the explosions and the chaos and the bug guts and android pieces flying everywhere as you frantically escape and try and reload a gun, call in reinforcements for your slain friends as airstrikes are going off behind you, and just massive explosions like I've never seen before in a video game, all happening at the same time. It's so chaotic, so satisfying, so visually impressive. Um,
This game is amazing.
I dare say this might be a little premature, but this is my number one contender for game of the year for 2024. I don't know if you guys will roast me for saying that. I know it had a rocky launch. You know, nowadays that's par, right? Big game comes out, does better than expected. Servers are offline for a week or two. People can't log in. There's lag, disconnects, glitches, whatever. The team has done a really awesome job at getting this game back on its feet, but the reception was unprecedented. Like, so many people were playing this game. I have so many friends that are jumping into squads, and we're killing bugs and androids, and there's so much more to come for this game. I can't wait for mechs. Holy crap! Helldivers has already. I've logged like 80 hours in this game with my limited amount of time that I have for gaming and stuff. This has occupied all my time. It looks amazing, plays amazing, and I can't wait to keep playing some more. Helldivers 2 is awesome. All right, some PS4 games. Finally got myself Catherine Full Body Edition. This game was originally released on the PS3 and a very quirky puzzle platformer game by Atlas, and finally re-released on PS4 with all the added bonus, added content and stuff. This isn't the puzzle platformer to play at grandma's house. You kind of have to lock your door, I've heard, to experience this game. But it looked awesome. My brother has said that the original was really cool, so I wanted to check it out. It's been on my wish list for a while. River City Girls 2 by Way Forward, the Shantae creators. Finally got this thing. Holy crap, I've been waiting for Limited Run to ship this copy for a million years. I have now the full River City Girls collection, and these are retro style beat 'em ups. I'll check this one out. I think my plan is to beat them in sequential order. Not sure which one's the best one, but here's part 2 that I've been waiting for a long time. Resident Evil 5 on the PS4. I think I recently had gotten this on the PS3. I can't even remember at this point. But this is more optimized on newer hardware, and it includes all DLC also. So you got like the definitive edition of Resident Evil 5, which I've mentioned before was a very pleasantly surprising game, at least in my eyes, for myself to enjoy a Resident Evil game, since I'm a big scaredy cat when it comes to horror video games. This is a little bit more action oriented and still terrifying though. It's set in Africa, and just the horrors are happening before your eyes in broad daylight as opposed to nighttime. I'm sure there's nighttime segments as well, but just the fact that Resident Evil can kind of keep its formula intact despite the setting in which it takes place in is really a testament to how good Resident Evil is. And I'm excited to check this one out and play it to completion. I had really only ever played the demo when it came out on PS3 a long time ago. Here it is. Oh man, kind of a freaking serial killer pickup with the Red Dead Redemption double dip, as I do have the Night of the Dead edition, I think it's called, on PS3. Well, this is the same stuff, but on PS4. Newer hardware. Includes Undead Nightmare, sorry, that's what it is. And to be honest, when I tried checking out Red Dead Redemption, a 10 out of 10 Rockstar game, open world, cowboy, Wild West setting. When I tried playing that game on the PS3, I think the frame rate was horrendous. I couldn't get past the fact that panning the camera around the environment just made your PS3 chug so badly. If it's on the PS4, I'm assuming that is remedied. So I needed to get the superior version of this game so I could finally experience it and then have a go at part 2, which I still really haven't played extensively. I've checked it out, sure, just to see what all the hubbub was about there, since that game is also another 10 out of 10. And I want to play the saga, even though it's only 2 games so far. I want to play them in order just to get my story straight. Last PS4 game, we have Ninja Gaiden: The Master Collection. This is the trilogy of those Ninja Gaiden Sigma games, the 3D action hack and slashers very over-the-top action and weird enemies with crazy plot lines. I appreciate those games. You know, having played Devil's Third and a little bit of Wanted Dead, I'm looking. I seek out these games that are just very ridiculous when it comes to the hack and slash ongoings in the game, or whatever you want to call it. But always missed out on the original releases of these, and I wanted to check it out what it's all about, because there are lots of Ninja Gaiden fans out there, and this looks really, really cool. The imported copy from Europe, it seems, with the little PlayStation seal on the cellophane. But you got all three here with a lot of the DLC and content, or, you know, whatever came out for it, all baked on the disc here. So I'm excited to try these out at some point. We got 3 PS3 games, and check out Prototype 2. I'm still missing the first one, but I thought this one was interesting because it's a slipcover game. So that's neat, I guess. Open world, kind of a superhero game, but you're actually a villain, right? At least that's what it was like in part 1. Mixed reviews, mixed sentiments on the franchise as a whole, but I heard that the first one was pretty cool. Like, you're either hot and cold on that game. You like it, you hate it. I see part 1 a lot more often than I see part 2, especially in the slipcover. So let's start the collection for these with the second entry. Does this game suck? You let me know. You're an evil dude flying around the city with superpowers, fighting stuff. Finally, I found it in very good condition. We got the God of War Saga. Now, a little note about the includes 5 full games. If we switch it on over here to this side, God of War 1, 2, 3, and then it has the Origins collection, which includes God of War Chains of Olympus and Ghosts of Sparta. Yeah, those couple games are not included in this because they came as like a code voucher that has long been redeemed. You know, here it is. But good thing these were released as a bundle later that have also been featured in a past episode here on the channel. So now I have all the mainline God of War games, and I gotta start playing them at some point. You know, it's good 3D brawling hack and slash things with Kratos. Last PS3 game is Resonance of Fate, published by Sega. I've heard this is essentially Final Fantasy with guns. So maybe like an action RPG. I don't think this is turn-based, but yeah. I don't see this one often. I know that my cousin DJ had it on his wish list and may have skipped out on it. So at least now one of us has it. I guess we'll do some PS2 games. First up, Kinetica, a first-party Sony title, and I guess this is like F-Zero, but with futuristic jet bikes of some sort. Yeah, an early PS2 game, if I'm not mistaken, with a big old manual here. Oh, it's actually part 2, a 2-part manual. This one has exclusive just the art of Kinetica, and here you can kind of see what the character art is like, the art direction of the game, I should say. Some scantily clad android chicks racing motorcycles. What's there not to like? I don't know much of this game, but my brother did say it was supposed to be a pretty cool title, so decided to pick it up for real cheap. And yeah, Kinetica. Then we got Gadget Racers. Just a fun little micro machine style racing game with some customization options. This game is in the Choro Q universe, I think. And then you got some other games like Road Trip, Seek and Destroy, might all be within the same universe, so to say, as Gadget Racers, but I don't see this one too often, so I decided to pick it up. Another racing game, we got R Racing Evolution, published by Namco. A recommendation from my brother. He said that this game it's a pretty badass racing game with a weird storyline, like a very engrossing storyline, and it's all over the place and very interesting. Something that you don't really associate with a racing game, right? Is the actual narrative behind it is supposed to be compelling, or at least very entertaining. So here it is. We got State of Emergency 2. I was a big fan of Part 1. I always enjoyed spectating Part 1 when my brother would play it. And I now have the two-part series with this one. A little bit harder to find, I think. And this one seems more action-oriented than the first. Even though the first one was very chaotic. You're just running around doing missions as like mobs of people are frantically evacuating, I guess, a mall or a park or something. So this one, judging by the screenshots, because I haven't played it yet, seems more like an action movie and mission based. So that's pretty cool. There it is. Valkyrie Profile 2, Silmeria, by Square Enix. Man, Square Enix has been making a lot of appearances in this video. So, once again, a recommendation from my brother. He said that he's never experienced a combat system quite like the one featured in this game. This is a spectacularly mint copy, and I found it for quite the bargain. Now, Part 1 is almost impossible to attain without selling your kidneys for it. So I figured if I see Part 2, might as well jump on it. Just a big JRPG experience here. Really, really good stuff. Valkyrie Profile has a lot of fans. I've never actually checked it out myself, but maybe I'll give it a go at some point. Last PS2 game is quite a looker, I would say. Gun Griffin Blaze, published by Working Designs. So Working Designs has a handful of PlayStation 2 releases, and they're all very flashy in their cover arts. This is a cockpit view mech action game, right? You can probably customize your mechs, and it's from that first person perspective. But it just looks awesome. Look at this cover. It's more of a novelty to have it. Again, got it for quite the bargain, so I had to jump on it. And the neat thing about this is, like, check out the manuals even. Got some love. So, looks awesome. I love mechs, so maybe I'll love this game. Let's blaze through a couple NES pickups. We got the Wheel of Fortune. Man, it's been a trillion years since I actually purchased this game back when I was in Florida last year. But I've heard this is a fun couch co-op experience to partake in with some really old pop culture references at this point. But it's featuring Vanna White. So, you know, quite the pickup here. Some trivia stuff. Then we got Gremlins 2, the new batch. So I've been told that, at least on the NES, there never was a Gremlins 1. It's just referencing the movie that it's basing its plot on. And a very, very nice looking NES game. Yeah. Two more loose carts. I happened upon a copy of Frogger's Adventure, Temple of the Frog. Published by Konami. Don't know much of it. Just got it for like a paperclip and a ball of lint. So why not? Just, Frogger. Now I know he's had some weird offshoots in which like he's doing some very complex and intricate platforming that is very unlike the originals, but this is more in line with the traditional cross a road and don't get run over formula. And then I got Samurai Jack, the Amulet of Time. Briefly checked this game out thinking that it was going to be good. But, it's just... So I think there's some good Samurai Jack games, and this is probably not one of them. Just it looks, graphics are just humongous, chunky sprites filling up the screen. I really have nothing to say about this game. I just thought, oh, Samurai Jack has cool video games. Is this one of them? I don't think so. A couple more Game Boy Advance boxed games that I happened upon. We got Godzilla Domination. I, as you know, have a soft spot for Godzilla video games. And I guess when the GameCube version of Destroy All Monsters Melee came out, this one released alongside for Nintendo's handheld. And boy, this game is awesome. It's really cool. If you're familiar with King of the Monsters style games on the Super Nintendo and that sort of thing, this is very much in line and also developed or published by WayForward. I don't know. WayForward had something to do with this game. Again, Shantae stuff, right? Sprites look really awesome. It looks like a Super Nintendo monster brawler. Very, very, very cool game. I enjoyed this. I'm happy to have this in my collection. It's really fun. Lastly, and this is kind of a funny, not really a funny story, more tragic than anything, Golden Sun, The Lost Age. So this is the second entry in the Golden Sun trilogy, third one being, I think, Dark Dawn on the DS. But the day after I purchased this game, because it's kind of beat up, the box is a little messed up, whatever. It's hard to find these games boxed nowadays, but the day after I purchased this, it was announced that via Nintendo's online service, which I have access to, you'll be able to play Golden Sun 1 and 2 on their Game Boy Advance platform that they have on there. So I kind of kicked myself, but at the same time, I always want to have ownership of my games. So it's cool to have this one, as I now have, like I said, the full trilogy. Really cool turn-based RPG for the Game Boy Advance. There are some die-hard Golden Sun fans out there, and these games are just supposed to be really fantastic. So I'm happy to have this now. Let's do some more handheld games. Air Traffic Chaos.
I'm an air traffic controller.
Published by Majesco on the DS here. I think I vaguely recall a YouTube video referencing a really fun and chaotic Nintendo DS like air traffic control tower simulator game in which you have to multitask and direct a whole bunch of inbound planes and make sure that they land safely on the runways. And, eventually you're overwhelmed by the amount of flights coming in, but you draw their paths on the touch screen and you route them that way. So I kind of had my eyes out for this game, and surely enough, I stumbled upon a copy not many days after I heard of it, and had to add it to my collection. It's pretty cool. This is a pretty big one. The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. So now I have the couple games that came out on the DS for Legend of Zelda, and I'm thrilled to have these, even though it's either Phantom Hourglass or Spirit Tracks that is sort of the black sheep when it comes to Legend of Zelda games, just because, smaller scale, that they got to make some concessions on what can happen and stuff, even though, Legend of Zelda originated on the frickin' NES, the franchise started growing a lot more and expanding on its formula, and people were spoiled by the GameCube releases and that sort of thing. So this might not be a spectacular Zelda game, but it's an essential game to have in your collection. Aliens Infestation, a game based on the Aliens franchise, and it's really, really cool looking. 2D action shooter. You take control of several members of whatever doomed spaceship being swarmed by xenomorphs, and the graphics look awesome. They look like Super Nintendo with some added love, and just a straightforward kind of a, well, it's somewhat Metroidvania. And I haven't had enough time with this game to determine its outright genre, I guess, because I don't think it's a Metroidvania. Just you progress through the ship and open up locked doors and, typical video game stuff. But it looked so sweet that I had to pick it up. Last DS game, Cup, the Recruit. It's a winner of multiple E3 awards, everyone. If you wanted Grand Theft Auto on the Nintendo DS, yes, there is Chinatown Wars, but Chinatown Wars is a top-down open world game. This is third-person open world, very similar to Grand Theft Auto. Granted, not as violent and gory. It's just rated T, published by Ubisoft here, but this is the closest you can have to a Grand Theft Auto game on the Nintendo DS. I'm actually so surprised by how much they were able to cram into this game. The map is fairly large, and it's fun. It's really, really fun. I've played this game for about 5 hours now, and I could say it's a solid game. It's kind of sought after now, judging by how much the shop was selling it for, but it was a game that I've had on my wish list for a long time, and sure enough, when I popped it in to finally play it, man, I had a blast with it. I haven't beaten it just yet, but it's really fun, cheesy. You get to drive cars, you get guns, the whole thing, right? So really, really high quality stuff here. If you see yourself a copy of this game, pick it up. Alrighty, 2 more games and just random Wii games. Let's start off with Mercury Meltdown on the Wii. I was gonna get this game and I passed on it. Returned to the store and the shelf no longer had it. Went online to watch videos on said game and heard how good it actually is. So I for sure had to secure a copy, and eventually found myself this one, and it's just like a puzzler puzzle game in which you're a blob of mercury and you got to navigate different obstacle courses and solve the puzzle, that sort of thing. But it looks pretty cool. So here it is. And last but definitely not least, this is one of the most surprising games I've played in 2024. We got Batman, the Brave and the Bold, the video game. So, not a huge Batman fan or comic book guy at all. DC comics, the whole thing, I could do without. It's whatever. Now, Batman games are notoriously pretty darn good, and holy crap, this is the game cover is exactly what the graphics are in this side-scrolling beat 'em up on the freaking Wii. This game is excellent. I'm currently streaming it and having a blast playing through this game. Minimal waggle involved in the game, but yeah, you got to use motion controls every now and then, but it's not trying to beat you over the head with them. And so much fun. So much fun. You can take control of either Batman or Robin. Seems like you might be able to control some of these guys because Blue Beetle is featured in that game. And they all control pretty different from each other. Like their moves and their attacks all look very different. You have like screen clearing attacks and all sorts of stuff like that. But holy crap, I cannot recommend this game enough to Batman fans, or even if you're just a beat 'em up fan. This is a game you gotta check out because it's really good. It's really good based on a series here, Brave and the Bold, a TV series that had the same aesthetic. They translated it 1-to-1 on the video game, and it is excellent. But anyways, gang, let me know what you thought of over 50 video game pickups that I've been amassing since late last year. Thanks so much for watching the video and just hearing me babble about video games. Stay tuned for more pickups videos and tune in to the Twitch streams. That's where we play a lot of these video games and have a good time, I would say. But I'll catch you guys on the next game. And thanks for your patience also, for sticking through the drought of content every now and then. I'm pretty much always on Twitch. But anyways, thanks again for watching. Okay, bye.